Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Enabling Digital Transformation with Alcatel-Lucent Enterprises Network as a Service Solution. My name is Raleigh Gould and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Our featured speakers are Seamus McGillicuddy, Senior Analyst at Enterprise Management Associates, and Savor Baruch, Business Programs Director at Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. Seamus has more than 10 years of experience in the IT industry, primarily as a journalist covering the network infrastructure market. Prior to joining EMA, Seamus was the news director for TechTarget's networking publications. Savor has more than 25 years experience in the telecommunication industry working for Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise Network Business Division. He is now in charge of solution marketing activities as Business Programs Director for Network Cloud and Service Offers. And before I hand things over to today's featured speakers, I wanted today's audience to know that Seamus and Savor will be concluding today's presentation by taking your questions. Do feel free to log them anytime using the Q&A functionality. Also, today's event is being recorded, and you will receive a follow-up email from EMA that will include the on-demand playback as well as a white paper on today's topic, so I do hope that you will check that out. Thank you for joining us. And I wanted to now go ahead and turn things over to our first featured speaker, Seamus McGillicuddy. Seamus?
Thanks, Raleigh, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Hope you're all doing well. So I'm going to speak first, and I'll hand it over to Savor. My portion of the presentation is going to look at some of the trends that are driving the need for a solution like Alcatel-Lucent Enterprises Naas solution. So without further ado, I'll just go through the high-level agenda here. I'm going to look at how some digital technologies are disrupting enterprise networks today, and then talk about how network teams are poorly equipped to deal with that disruption because they're overwhelmed with some of the responsibilities that they deal with day to day, such as constant firefighting, just keeping the lights on. Then I'll look at just the basic concept of network as a service versus the traditional approach to consuming network infrastructure through a capital outlay model, and what the benefits are of going to a different to that latter approach. Anyway, digital technologies that are disrupting networking. We're finding in our research at EMA that there are any number of technologies and initiatives that are requiring infrastructure to become more flexible and agile. And unfortunately, network teams are not really set up to be flexible, agile service providers. The networks are traditionally static for a variety of reasons, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But here's some of the technologies that we see disrupting networking today. You've heard of all of them. They're not new to any of you, I'm sure. First off, there's mobility. Users are just bringing more devices onto the network. They're moving around a lot. They're placing more demand on your bandwidth, on your wireless capabilities. Then there's cloud. Enterprises are pushing to the cloud. And as they do that, the focus may be on how that affects your traditional data center approach and how you might interconnect your data center with your public cloud resources. But it also has an impact on your local area network, your campus network. You're going to see some changes in traffic. You're going to see some bandwidth changes, bandwidth consumption changes. And there's also the Internet of Things, which is pretty ubiquitous at this point. Even if you don't think you're dealing with a IoT, your enterprise probably has some sort of IoT activity going on. And the network must adapt. It needs to be able to secure these new digital technologies. It needs to be able to deliver a quality of experience. And we find in our research that end user experience drives decision making for at least a third of networking professionals when we ask them what concepts are really driving their decision-making and user experiences near the top of the list. That accommodating growth and change is also going to be a big factor to keep in mind. And so let's look at those three disrupting technologies in detail a little bit. Cloud adoption is exploding. Our most recent research shows that public cloud services are a source of 44% of traffic in the average enterprise network. And that means some new challenges. QoS management. You may have switches and routers that don't have necessary ability to recognize certain new cloud applications hitting your network. Security and access policy controls may not be flexible enough for the new types of traffic that comes with cloud activity. And then modern cloud applications demand modern networks. You have cloud-based storage and backup that might suddenly add a lot of traffic to your Wi-Fi network, for instance, if someone's suddenly deciding to send all of their documents to a cloud-based backup site over your Wi-Fi network. Suddenly all your other users are going to lose connections. Collaboration and video applications that are cloud-based are much more easily consumed, and you can see your traffic shoot up. And then virtual desktops might be implemented in the cloud, which may change the nature of the traffic on your network. Then we look at IoT. And 87% of network teams deliver some form of IoT connectivity today, according to our most recent research. And when we zoomed in on the network teams who are specifically involved in IoT projects at their enterprise, 77% of them said that IoT is already generating significant traffic. And these are the resources they told us were most challenged: network security, infrastructure, bandwidth, and IP address management. And the bandwidth piece is the one that's probably most relevant here for the moment. That is going to result in a need for new upgrades to your backbone maybe, or your access network, or your Wi-Fi network. And our research shows that from the network team perspective, Wi-Fi is the most strategic technology for an IoT project. It might not be for the entire enterprise. Like from a total enterprise perspective, you might be leveraging other things like low power LTE or satellite or low power wide area network technologies. But when it comes to the network team and what they're dealing with most on the front line daily issue, like they see Wi-Fi as their strategic asset for supporting IoT, and that means you've got to do a lot to make sure the Wi-Fi network is going to be able to support that. Then we got mobility, which BYOD is an acronym that's been abused for years, but it is the new normal. It's everywhere. Device density is exploding. If you're a university shop, you've got students that bring 6 or 7 Wi-Fi connected devices to campus in the fall. User expectations for Wi-Fi is really high because their home network is uncomplicated and doesn't have a lot of competition for bandwidth and connectivity unless they have really poor security and everyone in the neighborhood stealing it. And then they come into the office where hundreds of users are connecting to the network, and if there's a problem, they have a low tolerance for it, and they're going to complain. And they're going to leave the office, or they're going to switch over to LTE, and you're going to lose insight into what they're doing. So you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you can address their heightened expectations in a reasonable way. And Wi-Fi change is constant. You had the huge migration from 802.11n to 802.AC, which is still ongoing and driving a lot of investment in Wi-Fi. And then we have the shift from Wave 1 to Wave 2 11AC, which is pushing gigabit Wi-Fi and also putting pressure on the Ethernet access layer that might not be equipped to provide full bandwidth, full gigabit to the edge of where the AP is connected. And also you have 11 AX coming. We're going to see that products that support that standard in 2018. The commercial products are going to come out this year, and some enterprises might see that as something that can support their digital transformation. So in the face of all that, network teams are overwhelmed, and they're going to struggle to meet all these disruptors head on. They must respond to it, but they spend most of their time fighting fires and juggling projects, and their budgets are constrained, and they find they have a limited amount of high-end engineers that can really lead on these issues, and they have a mandate to both reduce costs and deliver ROI, and it's not a pleasant experience. Network teams are struggling to keep pace with digitization, in part because they're just fixing problems all day. 71% of the typical workday for a network manager is focused on problem fixing. Some of it is reactionary. Some of it is proactive problem prevention, which is better, but it leaves them little time to focus on the strategic projects. And given the static nature of networking in general, that puts them at a disadvantage. And network managers have no time for those new projects because they just don't catch enough of the problems before end users are experiencing them and complaining. End users report 40% of network problems before the Network Operations Center detects them, which means that you're 40% of the time in reactionary mode from the start. Network downtime is common. 15% of network managers say they see several outages per day across their entire network. 24% see several per week. That's pretty high. It's pretty depressing. And the long list of network projects never gets shorter. Network initiatives that dominate network team decision making is pretty dynamic. We got network security at the top of the list. WAN optimization is still something that people are dealing with, surprisingly. And then data center network automation and orchestration is something a lot of people are tackling. We got data center SDN, both underlays and overlays. Those are going to require a lot of time to implement and debug and upskill, close skill gaps on new technology like that. Then there's always the wireless LAN upgrades that are constantly affecting everybody. SD-WAN, surprisingly, only a third of them said that's driving their decision making. I suspect that'll be higher the next time we update those numbers. And then Ethernet bandwidth upgrades are constantly in the back of their mind as well. And there's a people and budget crunch. When we ask network managers what their top barriers are to network operations success, the number 2 response when they're asked to choose the single biggest problem is lack of resources. They don't have the people. They don't have the budget. And our research over and over again shows that when budgets are constrained, network projects suffer. Their success rate is lower. I can think back to some of my most recent research projects where I looked at data center network projects where enterprises were focused on data center network transformation by implementing SDN and network automation and network virtualization and in some cases white box switching. And their rate of success went down when you looked at it from the perspective of how their budget situation was. Same thing with IoT projects. IoT projects suffered from constrained budgets. Software-defined WAN implementations as well would suffer from that. It's an issue that's constant. And then there's the skill gap. Enterprises are constantly training up their network personnel these days on new technologies. SDN is one that comes to mind, obviously. Software development skills, not just simple programming skills, but actually understand the ideas around software architecture and things like that become kind of important because you're evaluating software architectures more than you were in the past when everything was hardware-based. Analytics, there's a lot of interest in network analytics these days, so computational technology, big data, things like that are increasingly being hoisted on you. And then just IT best practices, because we see every single project that network teams are adopting to deal with digital transformation. They are pushed closer and closer together with the IT service management team to document things, to establish best practices, to keep things like the cloud under control, to keep things like security around IoT in place. They need an IT service management organization as a core collaborator, and that means they're thinking about IT best practices, learning about ITIL, things like that. And how do they, when they're doing all this training, how do they have time to devote to just transforming the network to support these digital disruptions? And then also cost control is always on their minds. These are the top benefits in network operations success. At the top of the list, you see the concept of uptime. Like, okay, I can deliver uptime. Everyone's evaluated by uptime. And improved end user and customer satisfaction, of course, too. But then in the middle of the pack there, you see a lot of concern about reduced OpEx and reduced CapEx. It's just always on their minds. And how are they supposed to upgrade the network when that's in place? And then cost control is also essential to network management software as well. When you're thinking about what you're doing to make your network more agile, the network management software becomes essential, and that's another line item that you have to worry about. Network operators are focused on optimizing the cost of those management tools. You see here, the first things on their mind is, are my network management solutions capable of integrating with all my other management products, and is it easy to use? But then you see low maintenance cost is a big issue, low TCO is a big issue, and rapid return on investment is a big issue. So they're constantly thinking about that as well. So with all that in mind, I want to talk a little bit about the concept of subscribing to your network infrastructure instead of buying it. And first off, the traditional network consumption model, it's static, it's expensive. It's a capital investment process. It requires financing. The support and services are going to be purchased separately as an operational expense. You need to plan for that. And then there's usually an additional line item for all the management software that you buy either from your infrastructure vendor or from a third party. And CapEx overhead and acquisition it's a complex process that makes your network necessarily static. You're going to build a network for 5 years down the road rather than for today, because you got to account for the future as the products depreciate over time, and that can be difficult. It's difficult to scale your capacity for the future. You don't necessarily know what's going to happen 2 years from now. Will IoT transform your data center, your enterprise? And you're going to be slow to adopt new technology. I mean, if you bought an 802.11ac network and you installed it, and you're trying to sweat that asset for 5 years, and a year after you installed it, a new standard comes out and you identify it as something that would benefit your enterprise, you're not going to adopt it until a few years down the line. So along comes network as a service. We're seeing more networking vendors introduce this, those that are not afraid to change the way their revenue model works are introducing this. Network hardware, software, and support and services bundled as an OpEx expense, an operational expense, as opposed to a combination of OpEx and CapEx. You pay as you go, and it's a subscription model. You're not buying the hardware, you're subscribing to it. The subscription fees will be based on your installed capacity or your consumed capacity or some other concept that your vendor might offer. And you subscribe instead of buy, so there's no need to finance. And the cost and complexity of change can go away. When you subscribe to new technology, it's easier to add new capacity when needed or replace hardware with newer hardware without having to wait for it to depreciate and replace it with CapEx outlays. You instead tell your vendor, you know what, I need 100 gigabit backbone earlier than I thought, or you know what, I want to bring 2.5 gigabit to the access layer to support the increased bandwidth consumption on my Wi-Fi network. Can we switch out these switches? And with network as a service, you can ease that digital disruption issue to some extent. You can, first off, you shift costs from CapEx to OpEx, so there's less upfront costs. You don't have to put together as much money up front for change. Integrated services and support are often bundled, which can reduce overhead. The management system might be bundled, and it might be consumed as a service rather than an on-prem implementation, which simplifies operations and cost. And you are going to get that faster access to new technologies, as I mentioned. The financial benefits are you pay as you go. It means lower upfront costs. As I mentioned, there's no separate line item for warranties and support or for management software. And if capacity requirements shrink, you remove infrastructure from service. You reduce that subscription fee accordingly. So if you're a seasonal business and you've got a lot of stores that see a huge spike in Wi-Fi traffic at Christmas time, you add Wi-Fi capacity there. When that demand drops, you can take some Wi-Fi capacity out of service without the complexity of being locked into the hardware. You change on demand. And this redefines the agility of your network. You can add bandwidth at no cost through those switch upgrades, as I described earlier. You can upgrade to the latest generation of Wi-Fi as it becomes available. And you get instant access to the newest technology, so you can swap out obsolete hardware at least obsolete to your business, not necessarily obsolete in the market, at no added cost, and you can upgrade to cutting-edge software without additional license fees. If there's some sort of new technology that improves visibility into IoT traffic, for instance, so you can implement that when it becomes available and when you have the time to install it and configure it. So final thoughts. Networks are the foundation of these digital enterprises today. If you're supporting digital technologies like IoT, mobility, and cloud, they're going to disrupt your networks, but also as the network team, you are the foundation of how those digital technologies are going to succeed or fail. And Networks as a Service offers solutions to this disruption. The hardware, the software, the services bundled, it becomes easier. You shift that CapEx to OpEx. You pay for the capacity you need, not what you have, and you can adopt new network technology faster. It requires a change in mindset. A lot of people, have been doing things a certain way for a long time, but for some people this is going to work, and you can change how you approach consuming infrastructure, installing infrastructure, thinking about infrastructure, and it could take some of the burden off of you as you're dealing with this sort of transformational digital future that we're all talking about. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Xavier, and thank you very much for your time, and I'll be back later for questions. Thank you.
Many thanks, and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I am Xavier Baruch from Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. I am located in France. I am Business Program Director in charge of solution marketing for cloud and services offers in our Network Business Division. Let's get started talking on Network as a Service solution from Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. We have seen in the presentation from EMA that we are in a huge transformation phase in the industry. This transformation can't happen without powerful, reliable, secured, flexible, and smartly managed networks. Networks are the foundation of the digital economy. First, it's all about proliferation of mobility usages, enabling new services wherever you go on any device. It's also about managing and securing connected devices properly. That's the IoT world. An organization's network infrastructure is in the middle of it all. Second, the massive digitalization to leverage the latest technologies that creates real competitive advantages. Third, ways to invest are evolving. The shift to services is now obvious for all, but still need to be addressed in a way that fits the business strategy of enterprises. As a service model with cloud deployment is not only a step in terms of technology, this is also a business model evolution. And what are the biggest operational challenges in network infrastructure today? First, a network that must always be on for good user satisfaction, whatever the evolutions driven by business needs. A network that needs to be kept up to the right level, whether scaling up or down for small distributed offices or larger campuses, while maintaining uptime. These are critical. Mobility with a boom in IoT and applications requiring higher and higher network performances is putting pressure on the network. There is a proliferation of IoT devices that is opening up new security threats. Frequent technologies refresh is vital for a dynamic network. Second, the network is always under budget constraints because the IT budget is more and more limited, which inhibits network project success, and capital expenses investment need to be reduced even though the most advanced technology is frequently expected. Third, IT staff complain about the lack of end-to-end visibility. So network deployment must be simple and intelligent without complex operations, and they should have a built-in performance and visibility reporting engine for focusing on business. Last, IT staff need to be more and more efficient. They must do more with less staff resources. In addition, companies are sometimes widely spread over different geolocations with no IT at all on some locations. But IT teams cannot address these challenges while they struggle to keep lights on, and legacy enterprise networks weren't designed to serve such a diverse set of challenges. Some customers are now looking for solutions that can accommodate business needs and address the IT challenges, and it's what we are proposing with our Naas solution. Why should you adopt an as-a-service network acquisition model? Businesses are changing, and on-demand and cloud economy for industries is everywhere. For instance, companies which have clear needs to evolve their networks but are facing financial constraints, so they can't afford to do CapEx investment. Companies focusing on core business acceleration and willing to put all their investment, both financial and people resources, into their core business acceleration strategy. So they want to get rid of any IT concerns. Companies with a limited amount of IT resources and a network spread over multiple sites, such as clinics, schools, or hotel chains, and willing to manage network remotely. Companies with limited IT experts looking for simplified management solution and the network elements, the latest and the greatest. Some companies are not needing 100% capacity all time. For instance, convention centers or stadiums are occupied 25% a year during events or games. So LAN, wireless LAN network is used roughly 25% a year. Students are at school 50% of time a year when considering weekends and holidays, so underusing office network 50% of time. Companies having mobile workforce or home workers with at least 2 days a week off-site are underusing 40% of time office network. Hotel having room highly occupied during peak periods and not as occupied during off-peak periods that correspond to, on average, 70% of the time. So they are underutilizing the network 30% of time. So why pay upfront for what you think you will need in terms of highest capacity and for perpetual licenses and equipment? Networks are the foundation of digital companies, and Alcatel-Lucent is proposing a Naas solution composed of a bundle of 3 offers. First, network and demand, LAN and wireless LAN network, subscription-based and pay-as-you-go model. Second, OmniVista series, a cloud network management application proposing management capability in a software-as-a-service model for LAN and wireless LAN devices running on-premise, regardless if these devices have been acquired on traditional CapEx or network and demand OpEx models. Other series is subscription-based, user-friendly, contributing to lower IT costs and to increase IT productivity. Third, proactive lifecycle management, named also PALM. PALM is a device inventory cloud application providing inventory capabilities in software-as-a-service model for LAN and wireless LAN devices running on-premise or for devices in stock. PALM is a freemium-based model, meaning free of charge for all customers. Naas is proposing to fit with today's digital economy, having customers expecting to pay for the most recent technology, but only wanted to pay for what they need, when they need it, not for what they don't need. NOD includes hardware and software, such as Alcatel-Lucent OmniSwitch LAN switches and Alcatel-Lucent OmniAccess wireless LAN access points. NOD is a flexible acquisition model, no upfront payment, as Alcatel-Lucent is financing all hardware and software. NOD is available in consumption-based model, meaning measuring data ports that are used each day and invoicing monthly based on usage, and in capacity install-based model, meaning monthly flat rate invoicing based on actual equipment installed for a more predictable monthly invoice. If capacity needs dropped, companies can remove devices from service and reduce their costs. Services and support are included in the monthly fee for both subscription models, so there is no separate line item required. You can operate NOD yourself, or you can consume the whole solution as a managed service from Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise Partners. By leveraging the network as a managed service, you can have your internal IT staff focus on your core business projects. You also have the assurance of improved end-user satisfaction with service-level agreements that guarantee uptime and performance. What are the key benefits of NOD offer? On acquisition, no upfront investment for a complete network LAN and wireless LAN. All hardware and software licenses included. On accounting, subscription-based and pay-as-you-go models. Invoiced monthly, either on consumption-based model or on capacity install-based model. Allowing service changes to business needs. On technology, you will always have the latest and best of breed products and technologies. On elasticity, rapid up and down elasticity aligned to resource needs. On warranties and support, no separate line items for warranties and support. Your company benefits without additional charge of unlimited 24/7 access to our technical assistance, unlimited 24/7 access to software updates and upgrades, unlimited 24/7 access to technical documentation, limited lifetime hardware warranty for replacing free of charge a faulty equipment in shortest time. On education, no special training required if you are already familiar with LAN and wireless LAN products. Adoption is easy and rapid. Moving to OmniVista Series offer. OmniVista Series is a cloud-based network management application in software as a service model hosted by Alcatel-Lucent IT staff on public cloud. SaaS is a model for software distribution where customers access to application over internet. There are some major benefits that apply to the SaaS model. It provides an optimal quality of experience for managing, operating LAN and wireless LAN devices running on-premise, as well as data analytics. There is no on-site hardware or software footprint apart from the LAN and wireless LAN equipment. Consequently, zero deployment as well as zero footprint for you. Alcatel-Lucent staff hosts and operates the application, but is not managing customer LAN and wireless LAN equipment. The application is purchased on a subscription basis and can be instantaneously activated from internet. The application provides a smart access as proposed via a standard web browser, so from any location, from any devices, at any time. Only management traffic is crossing internet and secured via standard technology. No operational traffic or user data. Cloud provides all necessary capabilities for business continuity, such as instant up and down elasticity and resiliency. Hardware and software warranties and support natively included. What are the key benefits of Omnivista Cirrus Network Management application from cloud? It makes things simple and flexible. Simplified and fleet management operation for LAN wireless LAN devices from a single pane of glass provide better IT productivity that reduces time and cost of daily management operations. It reduces the solution footprint to zero. As it is a purely cloud-based application in SaaS model, nothing needs to be deployed, nothing configured, and no appliance is needed for customers. Everything is deployed on the public cloud by Alcatel-Lucent IT staff. By simply opening a standard web browser, admins are ready to manage on-premise devices in a minute. It saves time and money and protects investment. Customer investment is protected as LAN, wireless LAN hardware and software are the same regardless of whether the equipment is managed from the cloud with Omnivista Cirrus or from the on-premise legacy network management solution. Ovis Cirrus offers a subscription-based model so that IT costs may be aligned to business objectives with the expense of capital investment. It reduces risks. Effective troubleshooting tools propose proactive and corrective maintenance and so increase the uptime. Secured, resilient, and compliant with data privacy regulations. No separate line items for warranties and support. Your company benefits without additional charge during a subscription of a contractual SLA of unlimited 24/7 access to our technical assistants, unlimited 24/7 access software updates and upgrades, unlimited 24/7 access to technical documentation, limited lifetime hardware warranty for replacing free of charge a faulty equipment in shortest time. It provides optimal experience. Ovis Cirrus takes advantage of the cloud and preserves an unmatched level of management capabilities associated with on-premise solutions. Fresh admin accounts are registered from internet and instantaneously ready to use without intervention of Alcatel-Lucent IT staff. Reporting engine with built-in business performances and end-to-end visibility ensure faster business decisions. Great user experience for unified LAN and wireless LAN management. End-to-end visibility from remote central point. A limited amount of IT resources can manage customer networks remotely, even if the network is spread over multiple geolocations. Last, the proactive lifecycle management offer, also named PALM. PALM is a cloud-based device management application hosted and operated on cloud by Alcatel-Lucent IT staff. PALM is delivering remotely via secure internet, live access to networks, essential lifecycle information, and status of hardware and software warranties, regardless if devices have been acquired on traditional CAPEX or OPEX models thanks to network and demand. What are your main challenges when tracking network equipment? Do you know exactly what LAN switches, wireless LAN access points are running on network? How long does the vendor support them? Are there newer software versions available? Same questions for hardware. Can you easily anticipate network refresh due to hardware or software obsolescence? Does it take you too long to know when support expires on equipment? Do you have active support contract for all equipment? Can you afford using your technical experts to manually complete an inventory of equipment on customer networks and maintain it? PALM application assists customers in understanding the status of the equipment in the network with some capabilities such as fleet management, providing live access to network's essential lifecycle information, case status opened by customer, instant automated support renewal for LAN, wireless LAN devices, visibility on network health, smart upgrade advisor, and everything on the freemium commercial model, meaning free of charge for customers. What are the key benefits of PALM? PALM automates what is currently a manual time-consuming process to understand what products are installed on the customer's network, and even more of a manual task to understand whether these products are running a supported software operating system or nearing or past hardware end of life date, so obsolete, and under a valid support contract. PALM provides you up-to-date information in real time with minimal effort. PALM assists customers on ease of management. Hardware and software inventories and reports are generated in a couple of clicks mouse. On saving time and money, technical experts can gather inventory and lifecycle information in clicks, not in days. You have limited resources, time to perform this manual task. On reducing risk, easy to understand that provides to administrators to quickly identify via an intuitive color scheme devices in the network which may need to be replaced, upgraded, or have support and warranty renewed. On becoming a trusted advisor, exhibit expert knowledge of customer network, ensure customer's network is high performing and thus a business asset. On simplifying budget planning, enable you to proactively plan budget for network expenditures well in advance. Drill down to specific devices where future spending may be warranted. And at zero cost as pure cloud-based services. PALM is hosted on Alcatel-Lucent data center and operated by Alcatel-Lucent IT staff. Zero footprint and zero maintenance. PALM provides you instant activation service from internet. PALM provides you smart access through standard web browser and totally free of charge for customers. We are at the end of this presentation, and to conclude, we are moving forward with our strategy and will invest again to improve our positioning for delivering verticals connected experience, our ability to demonstrate technologies that serves business needs for any verticals with a marketing focus on 5 verticals: education, transportation, healthcare, hospitality, and government. Secure networks for mobility and IoT. Powerful, reliable, secured, flexible, and smartly managed networks. Cloud and business services, improving our current offers and delivering new business services. Our cloud Naas offer is unique. The market is trending this way. We are changing our business by technology, how they deploy it, use it, and leverage it.
Great.
Thank you for your time and your attention.
Yes, thank you. If you have any questions, you can log them now using the Q&A functionality. Also, if you want to learn more about this solution, I point you to this URL. This will also be part of the follow-up email. So again, I hope you will check that out. It will include the on-demand playback as well as a paper on today's topic. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the questions, starting with you, Seamus. Has there been statistics for the adoption rate of SD-WAN?
Yeah, there are a lot of them. You see any numbers from between 20 to 30% of enterprises, maybe more, adopting today. Last time we looked at the numbers about a year and a half ago, I looked exclusively at mid-market and large enterprises with a minimum of 10 sites connected to a wide area network, and about 21% of them, maybe 23%, I can't remember, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was somewhere in the low 20 percentile adoption rate. The rest, but a lot of them were also evaluating, researching, testing solutions as well. So the activity rate is very high. The adoption rate is still a minority of enterprises, but it's going to go up over time. It's a pretty active market.
Thank you, Seamus. So I have a number of questions that came in when you were presenting, so I'm going to go ahead and start asking you them. The first is, would NAS and NOD service include SD-WAN in the bundle natively?
No, and the answer is no.
Okay, thank you. And would Wi-Fi offload be a part of the NAS NOD service pack?
Yeah, if the understanding of the question is right, especially on the term offload, yes, we are proposing during the subscription increasing the number of devices or reducing the number of devices under certain conditions. So yes, referring to the understanding of the question, or my understanding of the question, the answer is yes.
Thank you. And in the context of BYOD, would NAS NOD service favor any particular endpoint platform for accessing the cloud?
No. In fact, if we are referring to guest access or BYOD and so on, there is no specific or any particular endpoint. So the answer is no.
Okay, thank you. Seamus, jumping back over to you, how would a NAS solution support an IoT initiative?
Well, if IoT is generating a lot of bandwidth consumption, then it lowers your cost to add bandwidth, as I mentioned during my presentation. It gets easier to add capacity too. So let's say you have some IoT devices that you want to add to a location, but they have to be installed in a place where there's a Wi-Fi dead zone. You could upgrade your subscription to install some new APs there. No CapEx required. Or you could upgrade your existing APs to extend coverage to that area. So lots of different ways. It's pretty. IoT itself is a broad universe of technologies and initiatives, and so is the way in which the network is going to support it.
Thank you. And staying with you, Seamus, this attendee says that they don't see the connection between NAS and reducing the amount of firefighting that network managers deal with. Can you explain?
There's no direct connection. It's more along the lines of streamlining equipment acquisition processes for you. The more streamlined you do that, the more streamlined your processes for dealing with change, the more free time you have overall. However, network agility also allows you to add capacity, bandwidth, and expand coverage. And that can reduce network trouble. It's easier for you to increase bandwidth with network as a service, or to add access points in Wi-Fi problem areas. quality of experience trouble will be less frequent with a network that can respond to the changing nature of your enterprise, and as a result, you will spend less time firefighting if your network is able to adjust to how your business is evolving. And less network congestion just leads to fewer network problems and thus less time occupied on troubleshooting. But also, I mean, it's not the cure. You've got to improve your overall network operations approach, and that's broader than just NAS. It's you need to streamline your network management tool set. Stop using a dozen different tools as a team. You need to integrate your tools. You need to collaborate better with other parts of the IT team. There's so many things to do, but NAS is a good foundation for just making your network more healthy and responsive to change.
Good to know. Thank you, Seamus. Jumping back over to you, Savor, there are more questions about the ALE solution. The first one is, in regards to the ALE Wi-Fi access points, are you supporting BYOD and guest access capabilities as well as a captive portal?
Yes, this is something that is included in the Navistar series solution. So BYOD, guest access, captive portal, and all such capabilities are coming free of charge. In fact, we are calculating a ratio of accesses depending on number of APs purchased. So we have a ratio of 25 currently, so meaning 25 BYOD access plus 25 guest access for each AP purchased in the Naas offer.
And for the ALE Network On-Demand offer, what are the different options for customers at the end of the subscription?
We are proposing 3 different options at the end of the subscription. So first, of course, is to renew the subscription. And for the renewal of the subscription, the end customer can do what he wants. In fact, he can increase the number of devices, he can decrease the number of devices. So the first option is to renew with a different volume of devices and maybe different technology, different switches, different access points. So we are proposing a take and refresh for some devices. A second option, of course, is to stop the subscription. And in this case, the business partner is in charge to return back the equipment to Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise Logistic Hub. And the third option, what we propose, is to buy the equipment. The end customer has the ability to buy the equipment, and we are applying a residual pricing for each equipment both depending on the type of the equipment and depending on the obsolescence of the equipment. So 3 different options at the end of the subscription.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying that. This is a question, I don't know, you may both be able to provide insight into this. Which verticals are you seeing the highest rate of pickup for this new NAS model?
Clearly, hospitality. This is one vertical, as I explained and I presented about the hotels and so on and so on. This is a clear, this is a main vertical interest with a NAS solution.
Thank you, Savor. And Seamus, jumping back over to you. How can a NAS service reduce the maintenance costs for network management tools?
It depends if your NAS solution bundles a SaaS-based network management tool. Maintenance will get a lot lower. Your vendor will be responsible for maintaining the tool in the cloud. Any upgrades or patches to the tool are going to be automatically delivered as part of the service. Our research shows, in my interaction with customers, shows that a lot of enterprises will stay one version behind on management systems just to reduce their risk around bugs in the solution when it's implemented and first delivered to the market. When your provider is delivering that as a service is bundled with network on-demand solutions, they are, it's like a SaaS application. It's much more rapid change. The newest versions are delivered. Debugging happens quickly and is pushed out to all customers, and you don't have to worry about it as much. So the vendor is responsible for the maintenance. And any budget issues that are also impacting an upgrade are the vendor's problem, not yours. So like you don't have personnel overhead devoted to it as much as you might otherwise. This is all hypothetical though. I mean, I haven't really talked to a lot of vendors, a lot of end customers that have done this, but I have talked to customers who use network management solutions that are delivered as a service, and they have seen those benefits.
Great, thank you. Let's take one final question from you, Savor. During the ALE presentation, you referred to hardware warranty. Could you clarify what are the exact conditions and what are the differences with support?
Okay, so talking on hardware warranty and talking on support. So when I was referring to hardware warranty, in fact, on Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise Company, we are proposing what we name hardware limited lifetime warranty. So what we are proposing here is to replace free of charge a faulty equipment. And this faulty equipment is replaced next business day in what we name advanced replacement. So meaning advanced replacement will be free of charge in terms of transport for the end customer. Alcatel-Lucent is sending first the new equipment to the end customer, and then when the end customer is receiving the new equipment, is sending back the faulty equipment to Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. So this is what I referred about hardware warranty. Now, when I was referring to support, in fact, I was referring to software support, meaning or software warranty, meaning the ability for the end customer to download all the different releases, whatever it's patches, minor releases, major releases that can be installed on the different equipment, whatever it's LAN or wireless LAN equipment. So this is something that the end customer or the partner is able to do. It refers as well to the access to our technical assistance. So it's 24/7 access to our technical assistance. And as well as the access to our business portal. So for downloading some commercial or technical documentation or whatever, this is a 24/7 access to this business portal.
That's great. Thank you. I will also, as a thank you to attendees, you will also be receiving the presentation today in that follow-up email. We are at the top of the hour, so I'm going to go ahead and conclude today's event. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us today, and I hope that we will see you at a future event. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day.